I'll totally forget how I did this in 2 days, so I'm going to share with you now how I set up a 360 camera image inside of a sphere and the floor on top of a cylinder. The avatar here was brought in from Clo 3D via LiveSync 2, and that's up here on the right. But the focus of this video is the 360 image itself. Insta360 Studio looks like this. It's really easy to use, and I just brought in the images from the card that I had on the camera. And with this, I'm just going to do a single image, so just go straight to the export screen, stitch export as a 360 photo, and it will bring it in at maximum resolution. It just takes a few seconds. It's really easy to use. And then over here in Unreal, I have a sphere. So the camera does have an app, which is great to use, especially for remote shooting, but in this case I accidentally put myself in the shot because the app wasn't working on location. So while I was inside the state capitol here, you do need to put it in airplane mode and enable Wi-Fi, and it should cut out some of the extra Wi-Fi connections. I'm going to test that further today. But now that I have the image, it doesn't matter. You can use a regular sphere, so something like this, and you can bring one in. But in this case, I'm just going to copy and paste this sphere. And the scale of it matters, and it matters in relation to the size of the material. So in the content browser, I made a textures folder where I brought in all of my textures, and then I'm going to make a material here, and you can see I've made a few demos already. Right click, add a material, call it demo 3, and open that. And that brings open the node editor. Go back to my content drawer, go into the textures folder, and then drag in the image. I zoom in. I'm going to make the RGB to color an emissive color, and that makes it light, so you don't need to add extra lights inside of the sphere. It won't be shadowy. And then the only other thing we need is to add, right click, a texture coordinate. You just type text coordinate, there it is, and this is going to tile it or scale it. And when I select on the texture coordinate itself, you can see over here the U tiling is set to 1 to 1, but the bigger the number, the smaller the tiling is. So in other words, the smaller the unit is. You can see here it'll update in a second, and there those are. So let's go back and make those a 1 to 1, and I'll show you the scaling in a moment. The only other thing you need to do is select back on the original BSDF and then type in 2, and you can have a two-sided picture here. So let's save that, and it's already applied. And now I can apply that material to a sphere. So here is sphere 2, and I'll scroll down over here in the editor. Let's make this a little bigger so you can see. There's my static mesh, and there's my material, and I'll go in and I can just search for it by name, and there's demo 3. So I brought the picture in, and it's pretty much the same one. So inside of here you'll now be able to see, and there's a little bit of distortion that takes place, especially on the floor, and it's a little hard to tell also how big you need to make it. So let me show you over here in this model that I created. I got the scale about right so that it doesn't warp a whole lot. So a couple things. The sphere itself, it has a scale of, I made mine 20, and I think that works pretty good within the VR environment. And I'm also going to back up here and show you one other thing. If I hit G on my keyboard, it opens up all my other controls. I have a bounding box, so that's a teleport limit box. So in other words, when you're in VR, you can't teleport outside or very far outside of the sphere, and I'm going to experiment a little bit further and show you what that looks like later on in another video. But for now, this looks pretty good. It's a little bit parabolic and a little bit warped, but not terribly so, and in VR it looks good. So now on the floor, I made a cylinder and I applied another image. And although it's not perfect, I didn't really get a great image of the floor. I made it such that it connects in a way that kind of feels seamless with the background.